Justice League is the 5th installment in the DC Extended Universe, and a movie that a lot of us have been waiting for a very long time. And I'm not just saying since it was announced that we were gonna get a Justice League movie in the DCEU. I mean, we've been wanting a Justice League as comic book fans for years and years to come now. However, it's also safe to say that some fans' faith in this movie might have dwindled a little bit because of the track record that is the DCEU. Because they have given us some of the most polarizing movies I can remember of in recent years. I mean, Man of Steel, Batman v Superman, Suicide Squad. People, as far as I know, either love them or hate them. There weren't that many that were just in between with them. Then, however, earlier this year, we got Wonder Woman, which was the first DCEU movie that everyone can agree was awesome. Now, Justice League for me was easily one of my most anticipated movies of this year, and then after I saw Wonder Woman, and because that was as great as it was, it had me thinking, alright, maybe this franchise has found its stride. Maybe they finally figured out what works and what doesn't, and maybe, just maybe, Justice League can be as good as Wonder Woman, if not better. So now let's get into that. Starting my spoiler talk a little out of order for a change, one of the scenes that I really liked in this movie was the flashback where Diana Prince tells the story of Steppenwolf. Steppenwolf was this being who worked for Darkseid, and he and his army, they came to Earth with the intent of destroying it and essentially recreating it with these mother boxes. There are 3 of these mother boxes, and when all of them are formed together, they give its user the power to basically destroy and reformat a world. As a result, a great battle took place between Steppenwolf and his army against a bevy of other beings. This included the Amazons, the Atlanteans, humankind, and even Green Lanterns. I guess that's what I liked about this flashback. At one point, you do see a couple Green Lanterns doing battle with Steppenwolf, and because even though we don't officially see Hal Jordan in this movie, it did give me hope that maybe in the Justice League sequel, we were actually going to see him. I do know a movie called Green Lantern Corps is on the way. It's just a moment that kind of got me a little more excited for it. So anyways, in the battle, they were able to defeat Steppenwolf and his army. The Atlanteans were given 1 mother box, the Amazons another one, and then humankind another one to hide throughout the world, so in case Steppenwolf ever came back, which he eventually would, he wouldn't be able to find them. Now we get back into present day. Batman has run into a few of these creatures that search Steppenwolf. These things feed off fear, and he's found them as he's been capturing criminals around Gotham. It's at a point, he and Diana, they realize, like, Steppenwolf is coming, he's gonna destroy the Earth. If we want any shot at beating him, we need to get a team together. So they each go out to recruit different members of the Justice League. One of them, who Bruce Wayne goes to recruit, is Arthur Curry, the Aquaman. Now, Jason Momoa as Aquaman was one of the casting choices I was most intrigued to see. I thought it was a smart casting choice because the running joke, of course, is Aquaman is a pussy. So they decided to cast Khal Drogo for Game of Thrones to play him. That's smart. I did really love his portrayal of him. You know, he's a badass, he's, you know, kind of cocky, a little arrogant in himself. When Bruce Wayne's talking to him and tries to recruit him, Arthur Curry delivers him the lines like, the strongest men are strongest alone, and Bruce Wayne's like, I don't think that's how it goes, and Arthur Curry's basically just like, whatever, I'm still not joining your team, because I'm just gonna go be me. Just kind of came off as one of those cool dudes who just wanted to do his own thing, didn't really care what anyone else said. I liked the demeanor he brought to Aquaman. And then on the other side, Diana Prince goes to try to recruit Victor Stone, who's also known as Cyborg. And what I liked about his character is he's one of the more tragic stories in this tale. You know, he was this young kid, he was a smart kid, standout football player. Then he got into a horrible car accident, which resulted in the death of his mother. He almost died, but his father was able to save him by putting a lot of, you know, robotic engineering into the replacement of his tissues and his body, and now he's, you know, a cyborg. And what I love seeing with Victor Stone is he doesn't really see himself as a superhero, he sees himself as a monster. At one point, Victor Stone is talking to Diana Prince, and he's telling her, it's like, I don't know how to control my powers. I have this language in my head that's trying to talk to me, but I don't understand it. I am living through this hell trying to figure out how to continue to live my life. In his mind, Victor Stone honestly wishes that he might have just been better off dead. It provided a little bit of a tragic story that really gave Cyborg some layers in my opinion, and it was something that I thought definitely helped this movie. But now let's get into who is my favorite character in this movie, Ezra Miller as Flash. Bruce Wayne goes to recruit him, he throws the Batarang at him, quickly sees how fast Flash is, and he tells Flash, like, I'm trying to put a team together, and he's like, stop what you're saying right there. I'm in. I kind of need friends. And that was just what I loved most about Ezra Miller's portrayal of Barry Allen. You know, he's this young kid, you know, he's kind of an amateur superhero, you know, he's kind of just been doing his own thing, but, you know, he's excited, he wants to experience what it really means to be a superhero. You know, this whole thing, it's kind of blowing his mind. And I also just love seeing in The Flash is because he's, you know, basically this young kid trying to be a superhero. you see his age. You know, he's naive when it comes to the missions, delivers a lot of really funny lines, really awkward moments. It made for a lot of good humor in this movie. There were moments in the movie with him that I felt stood out a little bit more when it came to humor, and part of me is wondering if that's the area that Joss Whedon was directing with this movie, but I don't know, that's my theory anyway. So at this point, Batman and Wonder Woman, they have only been able to recruit the Flash, and now they need to go stop Steppenwolf from finding the third Mother Box, because he's already taken the ones from the Amazons and the Atlanteans. So they go find Steppenwolf where the third Mother Box is. You know, he's been interrogating and torturing all these scientists and people who are working in this building. Cyborg has also agreed to accompany them at this point because his father is one of the people that has been kidnapped by Steppenwolf. And what I really love in this moment right here is you really do see the team kind of coming together a little bit, and not just in terms of them fighting Steppenwolf and, you know, trying to protect these humans. It's this moment right here that I really love in particular between Batman and the Flash, because, you know, the Flash at one point tells Batman, he's like, I've never really been in a fight before, I've never really saved anyone's life before, I just move really fast and I push people. That's really all I've ever done as a superhero. I don't know what it takes to really be one. You know, he's really scared, he's really nervous, because I mean, this is next level shit completely for him. And what I love is Batman looks at him and he gives him one simple job. It's like, the three of us will go fight Steppenwolf. I want you to go in there and save one person. And what I love is the Flash is like, but then what? And Batman goes, then you'll know. And you see it right there. You know, he saves this one person and then he realizes, I just saved someone's life, I gotta go save the others. You know, he feels it in that moment, what it means to be a superhero, what it means to save lives, and, you know, now he basically saves all the hostages from Steppenwolf. And now at this point, we get this battle between the Justice League and Steppenwolf. They realize quickly they're not gonna be a match for him. The battle causes a flaw just after Flash saved all the hostages, but at this point, Arthur Curry is showing up, he's agreed to join the team, he stops the flood because of his powers, and thankfully, they were able to get the last Mother Box away from Steppenwolf, and now they can analyze it to figure out exactly what this thing is capable of doing. And not touching on, you know, the element of Superman, because we're finally around that point anyway. It's still been some time since the death of Superman. You know, Batman can see that the world is still mourning his death. He still feels like they still need him. And he's also thinking in his head, it's like, we went up against Steppenwolf, we didn't have much of a chance against him. If we can somehow find a way to bring Superman back, maybe, just maybe, we can beat him. It's right here, Cyborg does a little more study into the Mother Box, seeing what its powers can do, and they think possibly they can regenerate its powers with the power in Zod's ship, you know, similar to how Lex Luthor was able to create Doomsday with Zod's dead body. They're thinking maybe, just maybe, if we can use this box, put Superman's body in that ship, maybe we can use its power to bring him back to life. So they retrieve Superman's body, put it in Zod's ship, and they combine Flash's super speed to basically ignite the power the box needs to activate. And then boom shakalaka, Superman comes back to life. But there's a bit of a problem. He has absolutely no idea who he is or who any of these people are. So now at this point, he starts fighting the rest of the Justice League. There's that one moment between him and Batman that I really like. You know, he's fighting with him because in his memory, he vaguely recalls that Batman was trying to kill him last time they saw each other. But then what I really love is Flash tries to get in on the battle, so he's running full speed after Superman. But Superman, the whole time, Flash is running at him at super speed. He's looking at Flash the whole time, never takes his eyes off him, can see exactly where he's at. And you just see this sheer look of fear in Flash's eyes. He's like, this guy can see me. This guy knows how fast I'm moving, but he's not losing track of me. What the fuck is this? This scene right here just quickly establishes just how powerful Superman is. He is whooping the Justice League's ass by himself. But at this point, the Justice League is able to get Lois Lane to come to them, and once Superman sees Lois Lane, he starts to calm down, he begins to get his memories back. He goes away with her to the farm, reunites with his mother, and now Superman's basically back to normal. And then, of course, while all that was happening, Steppenwolf went and he took the third Mother Box for himself. Now, staying right here, this was, for me, where the movie was showing some of its flaws. For me, anyway, I'm not the biggest fan of how they handled the resurrection of Superman. As you all know, at the very end of Batman v Superman, we heard a very faint heartbeat and the dirt on his casket rising above, which had a lot of people thinking, oh, maybe Superman's still alive. And now in this movie, it shows that Superman clearly was not alive whatsoever. He was pretty fucking dead. They needed Flash and the Mother Box to bring him back to life, which kind of has me thinking like Batman v Superman just used that as a tease, just a way of hinting like Superman will return. He's dead right now, but he will return. For me, it's like, alright, well then now that ending scene in Batman v Superman really doesn't make any sense now. And the other thing with his resurrection and regaining his memory, this This just all was summed up way too quickly for me. In the course of about 5, maybe 10 minutes if I want to be generous, Superman comes back to life, fights the Justice League because he has no memory whatsoever, then he sees Lois Lane, goes back home, regains all of his memories, and now he's good to fight alongside them. And it really bothers me because what could have been a really great story arc, even the main story of this movie, could have been, you know, bringing Superman back to life, him losing all of his memory, and the Justice League having to, you know, bring him back to them, you know, help him regain his memories, make him a part of the team. Because that was the big question that we all had going into this movie. I mean, we all assumed that Superman was gonna be in this movie somewhere. We just didn't know how much of a role he would play. And seeing how he was in this movie and how they did bring him back to life, I feel like if they developed that a little bit more, it could have made for a much better story arc. And honestly, getting into it, you know, Steppenwolf just shows up and takes away the third mother box, you know, out of nowhere in the span of like 30 seconds. That's like, I know you're all gonna say that Justice League was whittled down from 2 hours and 45 minutes, I think around there anyway, to about 2 hours long. And yeah, I know the studio wanted to do that because they're just like, oh, if it's 2 hours long, we can fit it into more movie slots and movie theaters, and thus, you know, we'll make more money out of it, in theory. I guess that's kind of the other issue I had with this movie. The movie just felt kind of short for me, for a superhero movie anyway. Because I'm sure when we see the extended cut, they'll probably touch more on, you know, how Steppenwolf got the third mother box, and more importantly, how Superman was able to, you know, become Superman again, regain his memories, turn back into himself. But for right now, the way they handled it, how it was so quickly to fixing everything, that just, I didn't like that. It kind of reminds me how in Batman v Superman, you know, Batman and Superman stopped fighting each other, stopped trying to kill each other, and became friends because their mothers share the same name. So now the Justice League, they have to go confront Steppenwolf one final time. They have to stop him from putting all 3 mother boxes together, because if he does, he's gonna destroy the world. So now we have this big battle taking place between the Justice League, Steppenwolf, and his army. And yeah, I will say, this final battle, it's what you want in a final battle. It's fun, it's entertaining, it looks really good, you see the characters get fleshed out. It's what you want. It focuses on each superhero's abilities and powers, you know, gives each of them a moment to really stand out. You know, it just made for a really exciting battle. But of course, once again, Batman, Wonder Woman, Aquaman, The Flash, Cyborg, they're not strong enough to take on Steppenwolf. But thankfully, before Steppenwolf can kill any of them and destroy the world, Superman shows up because I guess he had to get his costume back or whatever. And because, you know, Superman is basically on a higher level than anybody, he's able to take on Steppenwolf by himself and pretty much put up a huge fight against him. So now when the rest of the Justice League joins in with him, they're able to overpower Steppenwolf. And now Steppenwolf is starting to feel fear, which is something that he's never really felt, because these mortals, these people of this earth, they are overpowering him. And because of that, Steppenwolf's army, which feeds off fear, it begins to turn onto him. They start attacking Steppenwolf, which allows Cyborg to separate the mother boxes, stop them from destroying the earth, which results in Steppenwolf and his army being teleported away. And that right there is essentially where the movie ends. We do get a couple post-credit scenes though that I want to touch on. The mid-credit scene I really loved. It was very funny, it was humorous. You know, you see the Flash and Superman together, and they're gonna have this race to the Pacific Coast because they want to decide who between them is the fastest. Really has me wondering who would win that race. Part of me wants to say the Flash, but I really don't know. It would definitely be cool to see though. And then we get a post-credit scene. We discover that Lex Luthor, who's still played by Jesse Eisenberg, albeit a little less weird and crazy than he was in Batman v Superman, which would certainly make it better, but we still could have had Bryan Cranston. But anyways, he's just sitting somewhere on a yacht where Deathstroke comes to meet him. And right here is where Lex Luthor tells Deathstroke, it's like, a lot of heroes are coming together. What say we form a league of our own? And I've been told that there are a bunch of different bad guy teams that could tie into, but I was interested to see Deathstroke. I've been told that he's going to be the main villain in the standalone Batman movie, so I'm wondering if this will lead into that somehow, some way. It wasn't a post-credit scene that got me super excited like some Marvel post-credit scenes had, but it's definitely one that's got me intrigued. So all in all, I will say, Justice League was a solid movie. I loved the cast in this movie. I mean, Ben Affleck as Batman, Henry Cavill as Superman, Gal Gadot as Wonder Woman. You know how I feel about them. But again, I love Jason Momoa's portrayal of Aquaman. I thought Ray Fisher did a great job as Cyborg, and seeing the tragic story behind him. I really loved Ezra Miller as Flash. Does kind of have me wishing that Flashpoint was coming out a little sooner than expected, because I really want to see him in a standalone movie, but I do know it's on the way, thankfully. The action scenes I had a fun-ass time with. The movie visually, for the most part, looks good. I really like the music in this movie too. I mean, it's not quite Hans Zimmer level shit, but it is enjoyable music that I felt was suitable for the Justice League. That being said, I'm gonna say this right now, Steppenwolf, definitely not a very memorable villain. He kind of reminded me in a way of Ronan from Guardians of the Galaxy, as in, you know, he's kind of a stopgap villain that's just leaning to something much bigger. You know, Ronan was that for Thanos, and Steppenwolf is probably gonna be that for Darkseid. And this being a Zack Snyder film, there's some moments with CGI where you're looking at this movie and you're just like, that is so blatantly clearly CGI. I was really not a fan of how quickly they did the return of Superman and reviving him and bringing his memories back. And yeah, I will also say the movie is not as long as I would have liked it to be. It definitely felt a little bit short. It felt, I won't say really crammed, but there are some things you feel like they could have done a little bit better if they developed it more. Again, when I buy the extended cut on Blu-ray, which I will likely do, and I see it and, you know, it is more developed and things do make a little bit more sense, I'm gonna be like, okay, I see where they were going with this. For now, though, that's what I have to say about this movie. The runtime compromised it a little bit for me. And in the end, although Justice League was not the cinematic event and experience that I was hoping it would be, it's a very fun movie. I had a great time with it, and it does have me excited to see what else they do in the DCEU, especially with the newer characters they brought into this movie. So that's all I gotta say, guys. Thank you so much for watching my video. Don't forget to leave a comment, like, subscribe, and I will see you all next time.